aspects and facets of our collective vision, Botswana stands ready to share with the rest of the continent our success story, modest as it might be. We've had the fortune of maintaining political and economic stability for several decades, which resulted from our multi-stakeholder consultative approach to governance. As we gather in Gaborone for this exchange of ideas, let us remind ourselves of the hope that Africa represents. This hope has been demonstrated in many success stories, which we must constantly communicate in the most true perspective to the rest of the world and dispel the distortions of Afro-pessimistic narratives. This continent is indeed both the cradle and the future of humankind.
This event is very important for us as Africans as we move towards the Africa we want as espoused in the Africa's Agenda 2063. For those of you who are joining this event online, we are determined to ensure that your experience, even though virtual, is just as enjoyable. I can vouch for the robustness of our networks as we are one of the most connected countries on the continent.
Africa's narrative has shifted in the direction of recognizing that she can, and hence ought to, provide African solutions to Africa's problems.
We cannot continue to blame our colonial masters for the ills that face Africa. I believe we have the capacity to confront all those challenges that we face head on and deal with them. I believe one of the biggest things that I want to see maybe discussed in this conference is how we can decolonize the African mindset to believe in themselves and to believe in the possibility that we do have the answers to African problems, whatever that is.
With a decade into Africa's Agenda 2063, the development landscape of her 54 countries continues to take shape. The next 40 years will be defining as respective nations take on the challenge of optimizing Africa's potential and collectively aligning to the priority of creating a better Africa. Utsidile Unkabetsi, BTV News, Gaborone.
And still at the Kusi Ideas Festival, African leaders reiterated their commitment to Agenda 2063, which seeks to achieve an inclusive and sustainable socio-economic development for the continent. The four representatives from Botswana, Zimbabwe, Tanzania and Rwanda shared this during the presidential roundtable, where the leaders discussed their perspectives and lessons to assume on the journey to the agenda for the betterment of Africans. Monica Setswala reports.
The presidential roundtable offers leaders an opportunity to converse on issues that drives the agenda envisioned in 40 years' time. For Botswana, the story to shine on was the diamond industry, which recently got reignited, leading to a successful sales agreement between government and DBS Group.
We learned a bitter lesson because for the longest time, we were convinced we were extracting the most out of our mineral wealth. Alas, we were not. And all this was down to the fine print in the contract. And so we urge all of you to look thoroughly at the fine print in the contract. And lastly, you must never surrender or retreat in quest of that which is good for your people.
It was revealed that even though the continent has potential to grow through its own resources, there is need to consider the planning and implementation aspects.
We have substantial deposits of lithium in Zimbabwe, which perhaps places us very high on the continent. Now with that, there are so many global interests who would want to come and exploit this lithium. Our view is that it has been there for ages. It can continue to be there as long as we have not struck a balance as to how we benefit.
Back home, we have domesticated the Africa Agenda 2063 It is now influencing every part of the government plan, right from the strategy all the way to the national budget. And bringing this aspect into our plan, it has really worked for us.
Normally, in a different conversation like this one, we always talk about inclusive growth. But we forget, I think, to talk about inclusive planning. Because before we achieve our results, we need always to plan properly and make sure that everyone is involved in the country.
However, for years now, Africa has been experiencing conflicts and coups which hinders its peace and security.
We need to help one another to do the right things so that people are freed and they understand the path they need to take to peacefully change us, as sometimes some of us do need to be changed.
The Kusi Ideas Festival is one such platform which seeks to transform and shape the future of the African continent and change its narrative and position in the global arena. Monica Satswaila, BTV News, Gaborone.
And deliberate decisions taken by some African member states to allow free movement of persons and goods within the region have been applauded by various delegates in attendance at the ongoing Kusi Ideas Festival. Such efforts are believed to align with the trade and regional integration priorities in Africa, which are principles key to Africa 2063 agenda. This came to light during a panel discussion on the sidelines of the Kusi Ideas Festival. Khoboletsimam Witshwarelo reports.
Following the adoption of the Protocol on Freedom of Movement of Persons and Right of Residence back in 2018, a couple of African member states have already made strides to make the dream a reality. So far, at least 5 African nations, including Seychelles, Gambia, Benin, Kenya and Rwanda, have removed visa requirements for all Africans. To complement efforts of this movement, Botswana and Namibia have recently reached an agreement allowing movements of persons between the two countries using their national identity cards. Such moves are said to be the blueprint to the Africa 2063 agenda.
It's not just the roads and the rail and the air transport, but it's also the facilitation for trade. So having a road without any activity on the road is not very prudent. So we also support things like port facilities, making enabling environment for harmonized documentation between borders, cross for trade, digitizing border posts.
If you use the identity card, it caters for all people from various, cycles or social life levels. In other words, you don't have, because once you have it, I think the short life of mine is 10 years, you've got another more 10 years or 20 years, then you can use it all this time. With passport, the pages get full quickly, and you have to go and renew the passport, and during that time, all complications, and you might not be able to do it.
It was also revealed that movement between African countries is quite expensive for some, and now the big question is, what should be done to deal with these challenges?
We need to basically be open to receiving different perspectives and harnessing, whether it's technology, harnessing capital, harnessing the political will to make it happen. Now, it's not a perfect or linear path, but what I'm pleased to see is that we make progress.
One of the most important things that we need to do to facilitate the movement is to make sure that the institutional arrangement, the policies, and even the management of migration in our countries are sort of aligned, so that we don't require different things from one country to the other, which might be even be difficult.
Still, at the Kusi Ideas Festival, a handful of suggestions and recommendations were brought to attention. Among them was the need for African countries to consider making use of their water resources as a form of transport to allow simple distribution of goods and services between the states without just relying on road and railway networks. BTV News.
And still with Kusi, local companies under the umbrella banner Pusha BW are using the Kusi Ideas Festival to showcase their products and services with the hope of venturing and tapping into the new markets. Pel Tsohan reports.
Kusi Ideas Festival brings an opportunity for local young entrepreneurs as they set out their stalls with the hope to connect with investors, business executives and intellectuals from across Africa. For the first time in Southern Africa, Botswana makes yet another mark following a series of successful international business forums in the likes of the US Africa Summit and Forbes Under 30 Summit. This time around, she hosted the Kusi Ideas Festival, famous in the East and the West Africa. However, local brands have already distinguished themselves in the African market, especially in the tech environment.
Africa should be leading the way in technology, and in order to do so, what we've done is we've taken one of the most powerful AI systems in the world. We have now made it for Botswana, so it knows everything about the country, and you can speak either in English and also Botswana.
Pula Space is a platform that connects technology companies with early-stage investors, mainly venture capital. So what we've done so far is we've been able to license our technology in Rwanda, and then we are operational in 3 countries, being Botswana, South Africa, and Rwanda itself.
Logistics companies right where the customer is.
Not only did innovators come to showcase, other manufacturing companies also came to the party with the hope to penetrate the African market.
We wanted to push our BW first before we go out there, because we don't want to be out there maintain and then we want to be sure for quality it can tell Botswana or this is what we have in Botswana. So I think in a year or two, 2024,
Meanwhile, the Botswana Investment and Trade Agency, which has made it possible for most businesses here, says there is more that still has to be done to make sure that local companies are seen and known in Africa.
Hopefully our companies will be able to make contacts. They will be able to export some of their products, hopefully, to the other countries in Africa through the contacts that they will make here at the Kusi Ideas. As BITC, we have a number of functions that we do, such as export development, export promotion. Those are ways in which we are helping our local companies to be able to penetrate not only the African market, but also markets outside of Africa, both USA, Europe, and others.
With the participation of more than 700 delegates from various professions, skills and expertise across Africa and the diaspora, the event underscored the importance of collective efforts as Africa advances towards the African Union's Agenda 2063. Pel Tsohan, BTV News, Gaborone.
The President, Dr. Mokgweetsi Masisi, says there is a need to resuscitate the third Joint Permanent Commission mechanism between Botswana and Tanzania, which he says will help in reinvigorating ideas of cooperation between the two countries to further strengthen bilateral relations for the benefit of the citizens of the two nations. President Masisi said this during a courtesy call paid to his office by the Deputy Prime Minister of Tanzania, Dr. Doto Biteko, who is in the country for the ongoing Kusi Ideas Festival. President Masisi reiterated the importance of continuous engagement of African leaders to come up with strategic ways of improving the continent and building the Africa they want. He further expressed his condolences for the devastating floods Tanzania is experiencing, which the Deputy Prime Minister Biteko said have so far claimed 65 lives, injured 115, and destroyed over 1,000 homesteads.
It's extremely important to have throughout the continent consistently, and so that we gauge each other and we advise each other, we help each other, and we integrate even more. You know, coming home closer to our own relations, you know, on the economic front, particularly trade, there's a lot of work we can do. We have our third JPCC. Tanzania is due to host it. We encourage you to host it, and we will be in attendance. And there we should work out a program of action that would strengthen the collaboration between our two countries. I'm proud to say I was the first head of state to visit President Hassan soon after she was sworn in, and pledge our support to her, being the first female leader in Southern Africa, even Tanzania. We want to extend through you an invitation for her to visit Botswana.
So it's really deadly floods, but we thank God that the recovery team is on the side to come. So mine was just to come and pay a courtesy call and bring the greetings from your sister, and to preach to bring her preach to you that Tanzania is really ready to work together with Botswana in improving the livelihood of our people. Because you always receive some resistance from the people who would wish the status quo to remain. But at least you have stood as a prefect of Africa to strike a good deal, especially on these depleted natural resources. So we are looking at how we can collaborate, especially on the beneficiation of diamond.
President Dr. Mokwetsi Masisi says in order for the Okavango Diamond Company to keep pace with the ever-evolving diamond industry, there's a need for the company to not fall behind advancements in technology. Speaking at the 10th anniversary of the Okavango Diamond Company, President Dr. Mokwetsi Masisi challenged the company to adapt to the changing global landscape while remaining steadfast in its commitment to improving the lives of Botswana. Peter Batselolang has more.
10 years ago, government of Botswana established a wholly government-owned diamond company, the Okavango Diamond Company, mandated to market and sell Botswana's rough diamonds, shaping the country's economic landscape. To this date, the company has been a transformative force and has been able to equip government of Botswana with the ability to validate diamonds prices on the sale of Botswana diamonds.
ODC was given the initial working capital on loan by the shareholder. This was the first and the last time the government of Botswana gave ODC a loan, and this loan was repaid.
As we look back on the 10 years to see where we've come, we must also look forward with a lot of optimism to successfully navigate the terrain ahead. The diamond industry is evolving, and so must we. We must remain committed to technological advancements, sustainable practices, and the development of our people.
In 2011, the government of Botswana and the DBS announced a landmark 10-year sales agreement that would see the DBS transfer its London-based diamond trading activities to Botswana. By the end of 2013, the relocation of the diamond trading company, which led to the establishment of the Okavango Diamond Company in 2013, has been integral in maximizing the value retained from the diamond sector.
The establishment of the Okavango Diamond Company a decade ago was a significant step forward. It marked our nation's commitment to attempt to discover price of our diamonds and ensuring that we can sell and market our precious resources right here in Botswana.
As it celebrates its 10th year anniversary, driven by the desire to open doors to citizens into the diamond industry, ODC launched a Botswana citizen-only tender designed for citizen participation.
Over the past decade, through ODCs, we've built deep and meaningful relationships with our customers, employees, and partners, for which we also remain forever grateful. Our journey has been marked by collaboration, trust, and shared values. This milestone is not just about ODC. It is a celebration for Botswana, as this country has demonstrated that it believes in the transformative power of diamonds to make moments unforgettable.
The 10th year celebration of the government-owned Okavango Diamond Company comes just a few months following Botswana's successful milestone achievement of the negotiation deal between DBS and the government of Botswana. As per the agreement, the share of the Botswana supply sold through the Okavango Diamond Company will be increased to 50% over the 10 years duration. Peter Patsalelwang, BTV News, Gaborone.
And the Vice President, Mr. Slamba Tsogwane, says trade unions play a key role in economic development and also serve as guardians of workers' rights. Speaking at the opening of the Botswana Mine Workers Union Congress in Francistown this morning, Mr. Tsogwane assured mine workers of government's commitment to forging cordial relations with all trade unions in Botswana. Bethany Mando has more.
Botswana's economy is driven by minerals revenue for sustainable growth, and thanks to the mine workers who dedicated their skills, knowledge and time for the production of mineral resources to run the economy. For these mine workers to be productive at all times, trade unions are always at the forefront in partnering with government and also crafting policies that uplift the workforce in the mining sector.
The government of Botswana recognizes the pivotal role that trade unions, such as yours, play as strategic partners in our nation's development. As steward, defenders of workers' rights, you wield significant influence in fostering industrial harmony, a prerequisite for both domestic and foreign investments that fuel job creation in our economy. Harmonious industrial relations are the cornerstone of workforce productivity.
However, union leadership decry of unfavorable labor laws in the sector.
The union supports economic development that does not trample social development. It is now common cause that government policies are prioritizing investors more than workers. This is a policy imperative, and it's supported by the National Trade Policy, Mineral Policy, and Citizen Economic Empowerment Policy.
Botswana is currently on its second generation of the Decent Work Country program. There are several ongoing projects under the program, amongst them being the review of labor laws. The process is at an advanced stage.
We have been calling for mineral policy with a strong component of beneficiation. We have been crying, comrades, that there's a need to develop beneficiation strategy for the mineral sector, especially diamonds, coal, soda ash, nickel and copper, and facilitate investment to domesticate jobs, technology, and related intellectual property.
Trade unions are called on to unite at all times as they are the voice of workers.
We are calling for the workers, the Botswana Mine Workers Union, to unite. As you unite, make sure that the workers in the country under the Botswana Federation of Trade Unions, you are all united so that you are able to fight for your rights.
Hosting this Congress in Francistown will revive its economic fortunes.
If you allow the history of this city, it is closely tied to the mining industry. So whatever happens in the mining industry has a direct bearing of this city. If you want to grow this city, the way you're in the mining industry. So you chose Francistown, you chose this hub, you chose my city.
This year's elective Congress is held under the theme, Workers' Rights are Critical to Sustainable Development. Bethany Mando, BTV News, Francistown.
The Assistant Minister of Health, Mr. Setlomolela Titso, says his ministry, along with the international partners, have launched an intermediate frontline epidemiology training program to continue the work of building capacity among health workers to create a resilient healthcare system that can enhance its capability to prevent, detect and respond to any public health threats. The launch of the new program was commemorated by a workshop to sensitize stakeholders on how it will be implemented. Solofelo Tombale reports.
This will be the second time the African Field Epidemiology Network administers frontline epidemiology training in Botswana, but the first training program targeted low-level district health workers. This next year of training will target a different level of district health workers, but retain the aim of helping to improve epidemiology knowledge in the country's healthcare sector.
Our efforts to build immense capacity at the district level are now
away from realization. The built capacity will translate in districts being able to increase their surveillance, thus catching any public health threat early on, such as the early detection of mumps that happens in Greater Lobatse DHMT early this year.
The advanced FETP graduates provide mentorship to the 9 months intermediate program, and the 9 months intermediate program graduates or residents provide mentorship to the frontline FETP. So that way we are able to sustain the program and use the in-country capacities to be able to train as many people as we can. So our hope is that much as we've trained the 58 frontliners, as we start the intermediate, we are increasing the pool of potential mentors for frontline FETP. The intermediate FETP primarily targets public health workers at the mid-level of the country.
It has been acknowledged that government's investments and focus on health are showing results.
I am reliably informed that we are beginning to reap the benefits of our investments, as demonstrated by improved IDSR reporting rates, more active rapid response teams, and timely dissemination of operational research.
The speakers emphasized that the skills which will be imparted during the training are critical in helping the nation to better protect its people. Tsolofelo Tombali, BTV News, Gaborone.
The Africa Business Ethics Conference that is held with the intention of sensitizing the public and private sector on issues of corruption and good work ethics has been noted as an important catalyst for promoting unity among African entrepreneurs. This was revealed by the Acting Minister of Trade and Industry, Ms. Beauty Manake, at the official opening of the conference. Komiso Mapanyani with more.
The celebration of the 20th anniversary in existence has been commended for bringing positive results and offering advices to different traders in the fight against corruption and promotion of positive work ethics, as poor work ethics has been aligned with issues of corruption.
Botswana stands proud as its achievements. We have not merely adhered to international guidelines, we have led by example. Achievements such as establishing functioning institutions such as Ethics and Integrity Directorate, continual strong performance on the worldwide governance indicators, particularly in the category of control of corruption, and ranked 5 out of 54 African countries in 2022, showcasing our commitment to ethical governance. Our success is not just a reflection of our compliance, it is a testimony of our continuous pursuits of excellence in ethical business practices.
The founder of Africa Business Ethics has emphasized the issue of mindset change as in line with one of the agendas of this republic, and it's a backbone in the fight against crime when people change how they think.
So we need to change our mindsets, and how do we do that? Number one, we just need to stop expecting for us. Okay? We also need to think, how does each one of us think differently and creatively? And that is where our conversations on changing mindsets actually begins. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you, actually no, I'd like myself and I'd like you to start thinking, what can I, that is me and you, do as an individual to stop corruption?
Even though there are challenges, transparency and accountability are said to be the key components in fighting those challenges. Komiso Mapanyani, BTV News, Gaborone.
And thank you for staying with us. This is BTV News. Shakawe police recently hosted an anti-stock theft workshop in Chukumuchu village, where they encouraged farmers to properly brand their livestock as a way to tackle increasing incidents of livestock theft in the Okavango district. Tiny Tsukudu reports.
Over the years, cattle farmers in Okavango relied heavily on their livestock for sustenance. This narrative has, however, changed, as most of them are now empty-handed after losing their cattle to stock theft. The ordeal has been attributed to a number of factors, among them negligence, since farmers tend to leave their cattle under the sole care and management of their headsmen.
gore re busetse seriti seo sa dikgomo gore di nne teng mo Botswana re dirile lekalana le le lebaganeng le dikgomo hela ke re le bogodu jwa dikgomo kana diruiwa lekalana leo le lone le ta le thoma netu lenaneo la kgomokhumo
mo bokhutswane kgomokhumo e re itetse kwana nikeletso ya rona e ne le gore e be ta e to go nnela ruri ke re gongwe le ne kgomokhumo yo a hiwe di capability e hitang ho e ka khona go tsena mo dikhuting khuti ra go tshelwa metsi dikgomo tsa rona di turiseditswe mo dikhuting ke gone go di ruetsweng teng.
Farmers have been implored to adhere to the stipulated requirements for selling and procurement of livestock.
gore o simollo bona boithulanga tsa go rekisa gore bona le kgomo ka e rekisang jaanong le wena kgomo eo ka e rekisang eo o tshwanetse gore bo thomamisitse gore mme e na le manyenana ona ntseng a buiwa ke re wa mokente gore a mme manyenana ona ya rweleng le mo systemeng yona veterinary e ba buang ke yona ya betsi e teng mo teng ebile a bitsa maina a gago jaanong go se o tlhomamisitse seo o bone gore kgomo ya go ke nneteng ya mme anong e teng le mo systemeng ya veterinary e teng e ka rekisiwa o tla bo o rulaganya le ofisi ya BMC jaanong
go se ile dira e nngwe gape motho ta ba tswa a ba ya go betsa agente ko Tote is under Mau. Motho a Mau a ka verify dikgomo tsa Chukumutso alo ke dikgomo tsa Chukumutso di ka verify ke motho a Chukumutso kana ke motho a Shaka.
Agricultural shows in this area could bring cattle farmers together to compare notes on effective livestock farming practices. Tiny Chukudu, BTV News, Chukumutso.
Francistown High Court Judge Haola Peleketogetse this morning ruled in favor of the UDC to interdict and restrain the Chief Justice Terence Ranwane's decision to impanel 2 more judges to preside over the UDC case against the Independent Electoral Commission IEC. Justice Kitogetse ordered that the respondents, being the IEC and the Attorney General, bear all costs of the case. The Chief Justice, Mr. Terence Ranwane, took a decision to impanel 2 additional judges to the case, being Justice Taboka Slave and Justice Bemba Mesichele, on the basis that the case was exceptional and of significant public interest. The UDC filed an application seeking an interim interdict to the Chief Justice's decision to impanel more judges, indicating that it is unlawful for the Chief Justice to add more judges to a properly allocated case while it is being heard. On our last item, the acting Minister of Trade and Industry, Ms. Beauty Manake, says writing books and creating art can change the country's economy by contributing towards the gross domestic product GDP, adding that these are opportunities that the nation, especially the youth, can look into to empower themselves. She said this at the official launch of the book by one of Botswana's celebrated entrepreneurs, Mr. Mompoloki Mogobe. Terry Makweng has the details.
The book, titled Momp, Nuggets of Grit, is written by a serial entrepreneur with vast experience in the business sector, and it is hoped to give inspiration, motivation, and guidance to both aspiring and those already in business. It is also a beacon of hope as it encapsulates chronicles of a tough yet fulfilling journey that led to a desired destiny. The book comes at a time when the nation needs hope to maneuver through the economic struggles.
It is a great honor to officiate at the launch of the Momp, the Nuggets of Grit, from the cattle post to a serial entrepreneur. A simply inspirational book that comes at a time when the nation needs hope, at a time when young people need a philosophy to clinch on to contribute to the socio-economic development of this country productively.
Inspiration to write the book came from having come from humble beginnings, coupled with having passion for the country to share the experience garnered from 36 years of service as an attorney and investment in business. Those who have had the privilege to be part of the author's journey shared the experiences they've had with the author and the insight they drew from him.
Mesmerized me, particularly with his way of to deal with money. You know, we're talking money, salary and commission. And remember, I was fresh from university. And what was important at the time was money for me. You know, I'm not going to have money. Some law firms offered me commission and no basic salary. Monk offered me basic salary plus commission and more.
At the physical level and at the emotional level, you don't have enough peace to write a book. There's no peace there. If you really want to write a book or to be creative, you need to move on to the mental level. And that level, that's the only place you can sit down and start collecting your thoughts and being able to bring something out.
The book is epitomized to serve as motivation to all those wishing to empower themselves in life. Terry Makhoeng, BTV News, Gaborone.
Well, it's now time for sport with Tato Kosimore. Tatu.
Yeah, good evening, Benson. It's us again.
It's we continue.
Yeah.
We are holding the fort.
Yeah, where is the lady of the house?
She's entrusted with other duties of the country, and I'm riding solo, and it is well.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's why he trained.
Yes.
Yeah. This is Botswana Tonight, a sports segment. I am Tato Kosimura. Thank you for joining us and good evening. Our top story tonight. The head coach of Botswana Cricket Men's national team, James Moses, says the ACA Africa T20 tournament will give the technical team a chance to gauge the development of the players ahead of the other qualifications tournaments coming up next year. James highlighted that this morning as the Bege Blues left for South Africa to compete at the 8 Nations tournament in Benoni, South Africa from the 11th to the 19th of December.
The Bege Blues head to the ACA T20 tournament following the unbeaten run where they topped at the South and Central Regional qualifiers. Coach Moses highlighted the importance of putting their best forward as they go a long way into improving their standard of play.
It sets a standard for basically Africa cricket. So it's important for us to participate in such a tournament that will give us our caterpillars to better things, hopefully that we can get closer to ICC qualifiers. So basically, playing in such a tournament, this tournament is basically more like a stepping stone for us and to see where we are cricket-wise. That will help us to move forward as fast as we can, as quick as we can.
With few very international matches organized throughout the year, the ACA Cricket Championships give them an opportunity to expose their young stars on the international stage, which is a key component in developing their game.
Basically, we are trying to rebuild, and I think this is the stage for us to try to expose the newcomers and the new kids, mostly the under-19s, in order for them to develop for better and bigger things to come. Team changes every year. We happen to play against most of these teams, maybe not on a yearly basis, but somewhere along the line in a span of 2 or 3 years. So we have a good idea of the type of cricket they play, and we understand some of the opponents also, but team changes as time goes by. New players come in, new people qualify for different countries. So we don't really look at that. We look at what we have to do and where we can take our game according to the opponent and that day, basically.
We feel very ready because we have worked very hard over the past few months. We've worked on some things that we probably needed to work on earlier in the year when we were in Benoni the first time and then when we went to Kenya. So we feel good as the squad. I think we feel physically and mentally ready. I think this year it might be tougher somewhat because of the countries that have qualified. But we still have the confidence. Even last year we didn't go there with great confidence, but we still managed to get to the semi-final, and even that semi-final game was very close. So we believe that anything is possible, and nowadays in the world of cricket, the gap has become very small between teams, and anyone can beat anyone on any day.
Before heading to Benin for the tournament, the Beggy Blues will play a series of friendly matches with local sides in Pretoria. The 2023 8-team ACA Africa T20 Championships, to be played from the 11th to the 19th of December, is set to feature defending champions Uganda, Malawi and Mozambique, while the other 4 teams will come from the ongoing Northwest East Africa Qualifier Tournament. Kariso Molelekwa, BTV Sport, Gaborone.
In football news, Botswana national under-15 coaches believe that the 2023 CAF School Championship tournament to be staged in Zimbabwe will give the young players much-needed international exposure that will benefit them in the long run as they develop into well-rounded players. The under-15 girls and boys teams have been in training camp at Lekedi Football Center for the past 2 weeks in preparations for the regional schools competition under the guidance of Bonang Museta and Godfrey Rantoko. And
the second edition of the CAF African Schools Championship is expected to attract around 11 teams from the Southern African region to compete in junior event to be held in Gateway High School in Harare, Zimbabwe. Team Botswana is mainly made up of players from the 4 BFA blocks, as school sports has not been active for the past 4 years.
Looking at the fact that we school sports, so we coachiwe. Make it player tse gore ga se di dintsha ko baneng ba tshameka teng ke bana ba ile gore gongwe ba ite ba tshameke because gona na gona le development mo di regioneng mo go rang gore re tsa gone ko re bereka le di region re go go dirwa team be hela ile kwa re ta go selecta of which we believe gore ba distingue the best players ko di regioneng tsa bone, then we select from there.
We tell gore emphasis is more on technical gonna tsala le bolo ga bone thata go mo re go rotwetsa thata so la re ba conditioner yang re conditioner thata on that aspect ya gore we condition them ka lot of ball e tshamikwe e lentsi, and then we are also taking into consideration gore kana they need to recover ba go tsena le go di game tsa teng ba le mo a top-notch condition.
Despite the amount of talent in both teams, the players still lack crucial international football experience. Therefore, such tournaments provide them with a perfect opportunity to learn and develop their game.
But tota go bua nnete mo under 15 we just want the players to get the technique right. Hela gore ga ba go kopana le under 17 e be le gone ba simololang go tsengwa mentality wa go wina bo under 20 ha se gore go lebile maduo thata kwano ke development ke gore bana ba ithute the right way to pass the ball, the right way go dira dilo tse leng gore di a tlhokagala mo bolong sente.
I'm not going to say we are going there to participate. Yes, the boys need to gain a experience and exposure, but given a day, believe you me, we are going there to try and represent Botswana. We are going to show a bit of resilience. That's what we often pick more than the hunger that is seen, especially displayed by those guys in the northern. It's often lacking more barona. This is the aspect that we are trying to put on. We should show more resilience, determination, and the will to win.
Botswana is represented by Tamaga Junior School in the boys category and Motama Junior School in the girls side, where both finished bottom of their respective pools in the under-15 competition and failed to win a single game between them when the tournament was held in Lulongwe, Malawi. The 2023 CAF African School Championship will run from the 14th to the 16th of December and is used as a qualifier for the Continental Schools Tournament to be staged in April 2024 in Durban, South Africa. Khomzo Sefako, BTV Sport, Gaborone.
And then conclusion, Zambia are the champions of the 2023 Odyssey Africa Netball Cup in the ladies category after a nail-biting encounter against Namibia at the UB Indoor Sports Arena. The thrilling encounter ended in a 43-all stalemate, leading to extra time, where Zambia secured a hard-fought 57-55 win. Leader Poloko and Abampet with more.
Zambia were the first to score, maintained their momentum, converting chances as they came, and managed to win the first quarter by a narrow 13-11 scoreline. In the second quarter, Namibia showed great character as they fought tooth and nail to level the score by the end of the quarter, taking the contest to recess with both teams level at 23 goals. After the halftime break, Namibia, who are under the guidance of Jolene Meyer, came back a much improved side, snatching the third quarter by 35 goals to Zambia's 33. The final quarter was full of drama as both teams gave their supporters value for their money as Zambia leveled matters to level the score at 43-all at the final whistle. The nail-biting encounter was forced into extra time, where the winning team was to be determined by a 2-goal difference, and after a tough battle, Zambia lifted their maiden African trophy with a 57-55 scoreline. Another mouth-watering encounter was the men's finals, where South Africa and Zimbabwe were fighting for gold. Both teams started the game on a high note, equal in strength, and were tied in both the first and second quarters, a 12-all and a 23-all draw respectively. South Africa went on to win the third and last quarters 36-32 and 45-14 to become the first men team to win the Africa Netball Cup. The 8 days 2023 Africa Netball Cup, which attracted 7 countries, came to an end yesterday. Lydia Poluko, BTV Sport, Gaborone.
And with that said, we come to the end of Botswana Tonight sports segment. Thank you very much for watching and enjoy the rest of the evening. Back to you, Benson.
Well, it's been quite an eventful week in terms of sports. The netball, Zambia, is it Zambia or Namibia? Which one has won the cup?
Zambia.
And then on the male section?
It's South Africa.
South Africa has won.
Yeah.
But the South Africans did not bring the women's team.
Yeah.
They only brought the men's team.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. No, but thank you so much, my brother.
Thank you, Benson.
Well, that is that with our news bulletin. But before we part, let's take a look at stories making headlines. African leaders reiterate their commitment to Agenda 2063. Trade unions recognized as playing a key role in economic development. And in sports, Botswana national cricket team heads to South Africa to compete in the ACA T20 tournament this weekend. Well, we hear it is raining cats and dogs outside. Until we meet again, thank you very much for watching.
Batsadi ba buile ka ditsela tse di mo mokgwatheng mo kgaolong ya lonae. Ditsela tse mo dingwageng tse di hitileng go simolla ka 2018-2019